In the pursuit of a healthy lifestyle, we often encounter conflicting information about which foods are useful and which are harmful. Many of us, striving for an ideal diet, fall into the trap of myths and prejudices based on unreliable data. Today we will debunk one of these myths and talk about 10 products that are not as dangerous as is commonly believed. Why is it so important to understand the myths about nutrition? There is too much information. Nutrition information is available in huge quantities and it is not always reliable. This leads to confusion and incorrect product selection. Stereotypes and prejudices. Many beliefs about food are passed down from generation to generation, but they do not always have a scientific basis. The search for simplicity. We strive for simple solutions, so we easily succumb to promises of quick results without thinking about the long-term consequences. It is important to understand. Healthy eating doesn't have to be difficult. The key to success is a balanced diet that includes a variety of foods. You should not trust all the black lists. It is important to understand the mechanisms of action of products and not just blindly follow the lists of good and bad products. Consider one example. White bread. Many consider white bread harmful because of its low fiber and vitamin content. However, it is often forgotten that both white and wheat bread are, in fact, wheat. The difference is only in the degree of processing. White bread is really more processed, so it contains fewer nutrients. But do not forget that wheat bread is also not always whole grain. The first factor is the glycemic index. Indeed, white bread has a high glycemic index, which can cause a sharp spike in blood sugar. But wheat bread does not differ much from it in this indicator. The second factor is fiber. Whole grain bread is richer in fiber, which is slowly digested and restrains sudden spikes in sugar. The third factor is vitamins and minerals. Whole grain bread has more vitamins and minerals, but do not forget that wheat bread also has some useful substances. It is important to remember. There are no bad foods, there are just foods that need to be consumed in moderation and combined with other foods in a balanced diet. Many people believe that whole grain bread is a panacea for all ills and white bread is the number one enemy. But how much does this correspond to reality? Let's figure it out. Firstly, fiber is in bread. There is really a little of it in white bread, about 0.5 grams per slice, in whole grain 2 grams. However, you will get the same or even more fiber from a serving of vegetables. But the most important thing is soluble fiber. It is food for our intestinal bacteria, and in white bread it is only 0.15 grams, in whole grain 0.6 grams. That is, a small difference that does not have a significant impact on health. The main problem of bread is the rapid increase in blood sugar levels. It contains starch, which is broken down into glucose very quickly. And even whole grain bread, despite its high fiber content, breaks down fast enough to cause sugar spikes. The fact is that the glucose molecules in starch are linked in long chains. When we eat bread, an enzyme in our saliva breaks these bonds, releasing glucose, which is instantly absorbed into the blood. Therefore, recommendations to avoid white bread should be treated with caution. Both white and whole grain bread raise blood sugar levels equally quickly. Moreover, wheat is one of the most common allergens. Conclusion: do not be fooled by the usefulness of whole grain bread. Vegetables are a much more valuable source of fiber, and bread is nothing more than a source of fast carbohydrates. Many people, whether they realize it or not, have a certain degree of sensitivity to wheat. This sensitivity can cause inflammatory reactions in the body and lead to digestive problems. In addition to wheat, a number of other foods that are often eaten can also provoke similar reactions. These include rice, instant oat flakes and, in fact, almost all cereals. It is important to understand that these reactions may be unnoticeable, manifesting themselves as mild discomfort, but in some cases they can have more serious health consequences. Despite the fact that most modern cereals are rich in starch, it is not necessary to completely abandon them. However, it is worth paying attention to ancient cereals that have retained their original composition and have not undergone significant selection. Such cereals include emmer, spelt, a type of wheat, rye and oats. Unlike modern varieties, these cereals are rich in fiber and nutrients, contributing to a slower absorption of carbohydrates. For maximum benefit from cereals, it is important to choose whole grain products. This means that the grain has not been subjected to deep processing, but has retained all its nutrients. It is best to consume whole grains in their natural form, for example, in the form of oat flakes that have not been over-processed. Oatmeal is a great example of a whole grain product rich in fiber and nutrients. Unlike instant flakes, which are deeply processed and digested faster, whole grain oatmeal provides a slower and more stable increase in blood sugar levels. Another important aspect of nutrition is gluten. Many experts recommend reducing or eliminating it from the diet. Modern wheat, which has been subjected to multiple selections and is grown using glyphosate, can cause digestive problems for many people. Gluten-containing cereals include wheat, rye and barley. The only cereals that are gluten-free are rice and oats. However, if you have a high gluten sensitivity, it is important to choose certified gluten-free products, as oat flakes may be contaminated with gluten during processing. Fruit juice and sugary cereals are often positioned as part of a healthy breakfast, but this is not the case. Although they may seem healthy, these foods are rich in sugar and do not provide the body with the necessary nutrients. Instead, it is recommended to have breakfast with a more nutritious meal, such as an egg omelette or porridge with fruits and nuts. This will provide the body with the necessary energy and nutrients for the whole day. We often hear about how important a healthy breakfast is, but what really makes breakfast healthy? And how does what we eat in the morning affect our blood sugar levels? Let's figure it out. Many people believe that processed foods are the key to a quick and convenient breakfast. But is it worth using them if we take care of our health? For example, sausages and eggs are products with minimal processing. They are closer to natural food than cereals, toast with jam and orange juice. Let's look at carbohydrates in a popular breakfast option. Orange juice, milk, cereal, toast with jam. It contains about 130 grams of pure carbohydrates. It is important to understand that the carbohydrate intake rate is individual for different people. But for most people, this breakfast exceeds the daily carbohydrate allowance by almost 2 times. This is especially important to remember. Overweight people, people suffering from inflammatory processes, people with diabetes and insulin resistance. But the problem is not only in the amount of carbohydrates, but also in their type. Glucose is a simple sugar that is quickly absorbed by the body. The sugar we should limit is added sugar or sugar in orange juice. It contains fructose, a sugar that is processed only by the liver. Excessive consumption of fructose can lead to fatty liver dystrophy and increase the risk of diabetes. It is important to note, orange juice contains the same amount of sugar as white table sugar. Milk also contains sugar, although in smaller amounts. Flakes are a processed product rich in sugar. In general, this so-called healthy breakfast is saturated with sugar and is not an optimal choice for health. Remember, not all breakfasts are the same. Choose foods with minimal processing and low sugar content. 20 grams of sugar in toast with jam is just the beginning. To this, add a couple of slices of toast, which also have sugar added, another 6-8 grams, and a couple of spoonfuls of sugar in coffee, and now there are 100 grams of sweet on your table. This explosion of sugar in the body is dangerous not only because of the amount, but also because of the composition. Fructose contained in sugar, unlike lactose, is not so easily absorbed by the body. Excess fructose clogs the liver, working like alcohol, and provokes the development of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, a serious disease that was previously considered the prerogative of alcoholics. And that's not all. Excess sugar causes type 2 diabetes in preschool children. So what should I do? Avoid such breakfasts. Unfortunately, many families in hotels feed their children such sweet food, and children, getting used to this taste, refuse healthier food. And it's not just breakfast. Fast food is a food designed to be addictive, not to saturate the body. Fast food manufacturers do not indicate on the labels that their products are devoid of enzymes and fiber necessary for proper digestion of food. They don't tell you that their food contains a lot of sugar and harmful chemical additives, which, moreover, are addictive. A true meal is a balanced meal, high in protein, healthy fats and fiber. It is slowly absorbed and does not cause sudden spikes in blood sugar. Switching to proper nutrition is not just a change in diet. This is taking care of your health and longevity. Fasting blood sugar levels after eating whole foods are likely not to exceed the norm, while fast food, subjected to harsh processing, depleted and overflowing with sugar and starch, leads to a sharp spike in blood sugar levels. This is due to the fact that starch in fast food is rapidly broken down, which leads to a rapid increase in blood sugar levels. On the other hand, whole foods provide a long-lasting feeling of fullness and real taste, as they are rich in healthy fats, such as polyunsaturated fats found in fish, saturated and monounsaturated fats found in meat and olive oil, as well as nuts. Fast food, in turn, is rich in processed vegetable oils, while meat in it contains only a small amount of fat. Alcohol, being a natural substance, is often associated with longevity and the good life, as many cultures consume wine as a food drink. However, despite the fact that it can relieve stress and improve mood, alcohol does not bring health benefits. Stress and bad mood negatively affect the body's healing mechanism, so feeling good is a key factor for health. Alcohol has a psychotropic effect that can change the state of mind and sensations, which leads to addiction. Excessive alcohol consumption not only leads to addiction, but also to unhealthy food, excessive intake of calories, fatty liver disease and nutritional deficiencies, as well as negatively affects the brain and liver. Artificial sweeteners such as aspartame, sucrose, potassium acidosulfame and saccharin do not contain calories and are therefore popular among people seeking to lose weight. However, they are often confused with natural non-calorie sweeteners such as stevia and monk fruit, which are plant extracts. The sweet flavors of stevia and monk fruit, although attractive, are still relatively new, and their long-term effects on the body have not been fully studied. Some studies show that these sweeteners can have a negative effect on the intestinal microflora. Therefore, until more detailed studies appear, it is worth using them with caution, as a treat, and not using them as the main sweetener. As for fried food, the problem is not only in calories. The frying procedure itself is not harmful. The type of oil used plays a key role. Vegetable oils such as soy, rapeseed and corn contain large amounts of polyunsaturated fatty acids, which, as it turned out, are not as useful as previously thought. We need the polyunsaturated fatty acids EPA and DA, which are found in fish oil, but the rest of the polyunsaturated acids are very sensitive to destruction. When exposed to high temperature and pressure, which are used during frying, they quickly oxidize, losing their useful properties and forming harmful compounds. Therefore, it is important to choose alternative cooking methods and avoid using vegetable oils for frying. Even worse, in pursuit of the last drops of moisture, manufacturers use chemicals and solvents, such as acetone. The problem with deep frying oil is that almost all dishes are cooked on it, and due to the high cost, industries cannot afford to change it after each serving. As a result, the oil is used over and over again, oxidizes, becomes rancid, becomes toxic and more harmful with each use. Margarine is another product that has long been touted as a revolution in the field of healthy nutrition. In the 50s and 60s, we were actively taught that margarine was an ideal substitute for butter. The secret is that the oil used for the production of margarine is very similar in its properties to the oil that we just discussed. But to turn butter into solid margarine, manufacturers use a hydrogenation process. Under the influence of heat and pressure, the oil is mixed with hydrogen to produce so-called partially hydrogenated oils, known as trans fats. Their harmfulness is so obvious that in some countries they have been banned, but in others they still remain in many products. Some manufacturers, in order to avoid labeling "contains trans fats," go to tricks. They reduce the serving size, which allows them to round the amount of trans fats to zero. So if you see the label "no trans fats" on the package, make sure you read the label carefully and look for the words hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated. Another product that causes serious concern is energy drinks. They are very popular, especially among people who feel stress, pressure and chronic fatigue. Manufacturers position them as an energy source that helps to overcome fatigue and be productive. But in fact, these drinks usually contain caffeine, a stimulant that leads to a temporary increase in activity. Despite the fact that energy drinks contain sugar, which can be converted into calories, they do not give the body real energy. Instead, they force the body to work in an enhanced mode, getting close to it like a credit card, with promises of a better life. Buying another credit card may seem like an attractive solution, promising an improvement in the economic situation. The comparison with energy drinks highlights this illusion. Both, at first glance, offer short-term relief, allowing you to get through a difficult moment. However, as with energy drinks, credit cards eventually require a refund. The loan taken drains resources, reducing the actual income, and subsequently requires compensation. It's like we borrow from our own health to get a temporary boost, but then have to repay the debt with interest. Side effects such as increased blood pressure, palpitations, cardiac arrhythmias, anxiety, insomnia, digestive problems and adrenal fatigue call into question the true benefits of energy drinks. Do they really provide energy or just create visibility by sacrificing our health? Sugary drinks such as soda are a real threat to health. They contain huge amounts of sugar, including glucose and fructose, which are seriously harmful to the body. High fructose corn syrup, often used in soda, is especially dangerous because the fructose in it is not bound to other molecules, which leads to a high glycemic index and negative health consequences. Due to the rapid increase in blood sugar levels, soda does not bring a feeling of satiety, and you can drink it several times in a row. This, in turn, leads to empty calories, which contribute to the development of fatty liver dystrophy, insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, inflammation and dysbiosis. The danger of soda is also that it is ubiquitous and easy to consume. We are used to its taste and perceive it as a normal phenomenon, without even thinking about the consequences. Remember the principle of naturalism: if God or nature has created something, it is most likely useful for us. Therefore, give preference to natural products that have not been significantly processed, added chemicals and sugar. Of course, modern life is unthinkable without some processed foods, but it is important to understand that the more we change the composition of foods, the more harm we do to our body. Synthetic drugs, although necessary in some cases, are not able to improve body functions and health. Natural remedies, if available, should be a priority. Remember that taking care of your health is a constant job that requires an informed choice. Study information about how your body works and do everything possible to keep it healthy.